Finally, it's time.
The latest,
ladies and gentlemen, it's the day. The day is today. Donald Trump's big day. Okay, let's put on our big boy hats and let's sit the fuck down. Let's sit our white asses down and listen. Donald Trump claimed that he was going to get arrested imminently last week on today. Okay, now Donald Trump has done this very same thing time and time again, where he has made it seem as though he is getting arrested or like has greatly exaggerated. Okay, he has greatly exaggerated what the federal government is trying to do to him or what any kind of fucking local law enforcement is doing to him. And unfortunately for us, it seems like this is yet another moment where he greatly exaggerated it, but he got the fucking hogs riled up a little bit. But not enough, it seems. Maybe not enough. Let's take a look at what happened.
Former President Donald Trump claimed that he's going to be arrested later today. And while there is no evidence that that is going to happen, there are signs that the Manhattan DA is wrapping up an investigation into Trump's involvement in a hush money payment. Aaron Katersky is at the courthouse in downtown Manhattan. Good morning, Aaron.
Michael, good morning to you. This was the day former President Trump said he would be arrested. And while that seems unlikely to happen, the possibility of a looming indictment has this city on alert for protest. Overnight, former President Trump releasing an insult-filled statement on social media about prosecutors and Stormy Daniels after earlier making an unverified claim he would be arrested today, stemming from an investigation into a hush payment to the porn actress weeks before the 2016 election. It's not the payment, but the way Trump accounted for it that could make him the first former president to face criminal charges. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has been investigating this for years, but in recent weeks called in former aides Kellyanne Conway and Hope Hicks, along with Michael Cohen, once Trump's fixer, who has already served federal prison time for writing the check, he says, at Trump's direction.
The facts are the facts. The truth is the truth. And the truth will always rise.
Robert Costello, a lawyer who testified for Trump and said he once advised Cohen, called him unreliable.
And I've listened to Michael Cohen stand in front of the courthouse and say things that are directly contrary to what he said to us.
Republicans, including one of Trump's potential 2024 rivals, said charging him now smells of politics and took a shot at the district attorney.
They weaponize their office to impose a political agenda on society.
On social media, Trump called for protest, and that has drawn the attention of law enforcement, seen here dropping metal barriers at court.
NYPD is doing their normal role of making sure that there's no inappropriate actions in the city.
Intelligence bulletins obtained by ABC News warn of a significant increase in threats and rhetoric.
I was still in the room. I just had to take my shoes off, but it was really hard to take my shoes off while also having the jacket on because the jacket is so fucking ill-fitting, unfortunately. But, I was just trying to get more comfortable. I'm still in the room. I'm watching all of it. But anyway, listen, there's a lot of things that these people have said thus far that I have to address here, okay? Now, Trump did, violate the law. Now, it might come across as like an insignificant portion of the law, and that's, I guess, up for debate. Okay? But, didn't motherfucking Michael Cohen go to prison for this? For his involvement in the matter? Why the fuck would Trump not also be hit with a RICO charge if Michael Cohen, who was operating for him, went to prison? That's oh, your hitman went to jail, but you as the leader of the entire thing, you should deserve no scrutiny whatsoever. It's the same fucking thing. I didn't hear these motherfuckers crying when Michael Cohen went to prison. Friend of the show, Michael Cohen, my boy. So I don't really understand. So the irony is people who are making it political are actually those on the right. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is they're literally openly stating no, you should, if you're Donald Trump, or if you are someone who is, a Republican at any given point in your life, you should be able to break the rules, violate the law, and do whatever the fuck you want and be able to get away with it. And it's actually political if you call us out. So what's up? What the fuck is up about that? What's going on there? No one told me Michael Cohen's... I've been on this podcast and I didn't know that was his fucking banger ass opening intro music. God damn, he's popping. All right, I got to pee.
Some of Trump's most ardent supporters are still willing to fight on his behalf. And we're told there are no specific threats, but the NYPD and the U.S. Secret Service have started talking about security in the event Trump is indicted. Robin?
Aaron, our thanks to you. We're going to bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Abramson. A lot to unpack here. Yep. So now we have a witness that Trump wants to testify before the grand jury, Bob Costello.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
So he was there, and he made a statement after he testifies. And the most important thing that he says, basically, is Michael Cohen did this on his own. That's what Michael Cohen told me, in effect, is what he's saying. That this was all his idea. Okay, fair enough. There's no way, though, that you can bring this case without corroborating evidence of what Michael Cohen is saying. Everyone recognizes Michael Cohen is going to be somewhere between a difficult and a terrible witness because he's pled guilty, including to making false statements. So he's going to be a problematic witness. There's no way you don't have other evidence to back up what Michael Cohen is saying.
You also have Trump's current attorney and is also his former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, admitting that Trump knew about the payment. So what's the defense here?
The defense is that this was a nuisance lawsuit.
Wake up.
He paid the money.
Halt. You violated the law. Pay the fine or I will have to take matters into my own hands. That's what I would say to Donald Trump if I saw him right now. I'd say, sir, you have violated the law one too many times. Honest question, do you ever think about getting some ad money on Insta? 50K likes in an hour, some serious numbers? I don't even want to do that.
But he didn't know exactly how it was going to be classified. He didn't know it was going to be classified, they're going to say, as legal expenses, which is the misclassification, right? Is this idea that this was hush money, but instead they called it legal expenses. And they're going to say he didn't know that it was being registered as legal expenses. This was nothing to him. It was just in passing. He wasn't paying attention, et cetera. The prosecution, of course, will come forward and say, we have evidence that Donald Trump knew exactly what this was about.
And we'll see. We don't know if an indictment is going to happen or not. But you say of all the cases that Trump is facing, this one would not be in the top of your list.
This is the worst one. Of all the investigations out there, you've got Atlanta, which is about overturning the election there. You've got the federal one, which is about the mishandling of the classified documents and obstruction of justice. There's a lot of evidence in those cases. This is about something that happened 7 years ago. This is about something where the Fed's already investigated. This is definitely the weakest of the group.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So here's the reality of the situation. Okay. As far as things to hit Trump on, paying hush money and misclassifying it, paying hush money to a porn star after an act of sex work, and then misclassifying it as though it's actually, something different. Yeah, it's the lowest rung. I mean, it's one where he is like objectively in the wrong, and people have gone to jail for it, right? For sure. The reason that this happened so long ago is because Trump's attorney general said that you can't prosecute a sitting president. Yeah, a sitting president. Yes. So there is that reality as well, okay? There is obviously that reality as well. They blocked and pushed for as long as they did, successfully. Okay? But it is kind of like putting Capone down for tax fraud, right? Nabbing him for tax fraud. That's kind of where that it's the similar mentality, basically. Okay? However, there is a very real RICO case that's taking place in Georgia at the moment, and that is around the phone call that Donald Trump had, the very perfect phone call that he had, where he was trying to desperately. I said that earlier, stole my take, lol. Yeah, exactly. I hadn't thought these things before. I'm stealing it from you. But he was trying to desperately plea I believe, Secretary of State at the time to find some votes. And the reality is he has done this a lot. There's a lot to hit Trump on. Donald Trump's defenders and people that worked under him and under his administration routinely blocked and pushed any kind of fucking criminal investigation being conducted on him, even though he was violating the law all the time. They said he's the president. You can't do anything about it. This is political. Now that he's no longer the president, you could technically prosecute him for shit. And now they're saying, well, it's been 4 years. You didn't do anything back then. How dare you do something now, as though you weren't the reason why they didn't stop doing it. And then the other defense, that's my favorite defense, okay? My favorite defense is like, well, there's all these other things that he did that you didn't care about. It's like, bro, at this point, Donald Trump's like wanton corruption, they're using it like it's a defense mechanism. They're saying like, well, he did a lot of fucking illegal shit and you didn't talk about any of that. It's like, that's not a defense, dog. That's not how that works, brother. That's not. Like, what do you mean? You violate the fucking law, okay? And you get punished for it. That's how it works. That's how it works for the everyday man, the average Joe. That's how it should work for Donald Trump as well. Now, you know, obviously, one of the things I got to talk about here is how much the right is, chirping in unison and going crazy, okay? But the other thing I got to talk about is how little the left has been pushing for this. Now, do I think personally that this is like trumped up charges? Do I think that this is personally the weakest thing that you could nab him on? Yeah, I do. But if I was a Democratic Party operative, I would never say that. If I was a Democratic Party operative, I would do exactly what Republicans do all the time. Why do we give you money? What the fuck is the purpose for us to vote for you? Not me, myself included, but like, people that do. Why? Is it so you can sit there and not fucking weaponize something like this against Donald Trump and the Republican Party? If I was a Democratic Party operative right now, what would I be doing? I'd be screaming from the mountaintops that Donald Trump is so far removed from the everyday common person that like he thinks he can not only get away and ruin the rule of law despite running on the rule of law, claiming that he is doing this for the rule of law, that he very much believes that he's above the law, and the same Republican Party is defending that. Is it okay? If we were to, I would literally do focus groups and figure out exactly what is the most targeted, most effective messaging where you could just talk about the actual crime that Donald Trump did, the actual crime that Donald Trump engaged in, using campaign funds, utilizing campaign funds to pay hush money to a porn star, and ask individually in focus groups whether or not that is an appropriate thing to do, and figure out what the best, most effective way to propagandize against that position is, and then go off from the fucking mountaintops, constantly talking about like, wow, it sure seems like a lot of people are thinking that it's okay to take money from your campaign coffers and pay a porn star hush money to the tune of millions? You think that's appropriate? Sir, so much for the moral party, so much for family values. Explain to me where the family values are. I, for one, am shocked. This is disqualifying. I haven't heard any of this shit. The fuck's going on? Maybe it's because Democrats are not doing that because they realize, just like we do, that, oh, it wasn't $1 million. Sorry, it was 100,000. But maybe they're doing that, one, because they don't give a shit, or two, because they are they're worn out. They got nothing. They're fucking worn out. And they know that it's not going to do anything for them.